And then for Friday, partly cloudy, humid, a shower, a thunderstorm in the forecast. The last day of a chance for rain, the high 84. Right now it's cloudy, 77 in Olivet. It's 79 in High Ridge, where it feels like 84. And cloudy, 78 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News Time 203.
Now, it's time for that dynamic duo.
To the Batmobile.
Not them.
You mean?
It's Hancock and Kelly.
Well, that's right, ladies. We are a duo.
On News Radio 1120, KMOX.
Hey, good Wednesday afternoon. It's Hancock and Kelly sitting in for Mark Reardon. He's taking his young son up to Mizzou. Can you believe that?
I remember those days. Big day today, Michael.
Huge news coming out of St. Louis.
So the Blues are announcing on this very show, at this very time, who the color commentator is going to be on those Blues broadcasts. And joining us to take over the steering wheel here in Studio B is the voice of the St. Louis Blues. Welcome, Chris Kerber.
Guys, how are you today?
Great.
This is it's an exciting day, I think, for St. Louis Blues fans. As everybody heard a couple months ago, Kelly Chase decided that he was stepping down as my partner and radio analyst and taking on a new role in community and corporate development for the St. Louis Blues, along with some other projects he has going. So that created a new search, and it has culminated finally today.
Yeah, and you've got somebody here to announce.
I do. Yes, we do. So sitting to my left is a St. Louisan, 32 years of age, played his youth hockey in Afton, eventually some high school hockey in CBC, winning a few state championships, went on to college at Northeastern, studied journalism while he was at Northeastern, and then played 4 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins and a couple years with the Arizona Coyotes. So I'm proud to announce and welcome back home, I should say, to our new radio broadcaster, Joey Vitale. Joey, congratulations and welcome to the St. Louis Blues.
And the crowd,
Thank you.
the crowd is on its feet. It's unbelievable.
Chris, thanks for the intro. John, Mike, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to be Chris's partner for the next little bit here, and I'm excited to get started.
So you and I were up in the broadcast booth a couple of days ago, and that's kind of how we went about offering the job to you and all. What have the last couple of days been like for you, sitting back knowing that, and I know you didn't get a chance to play for the Blues as a player because concussion ending your career. What's it like to know, though, that you're going to be part of your hometown team?
Absolutely. So when Chris called me a couple days ago, he said, Joe, you mind coming downtown? I got to talk to you. I said, okay, I'm driving downtown. I meet Chris in the lobby, and they come all the way downtown. He's like, okay, let's go up to the booth. And we're climbing, we're going to the booth. And all I kept thinking was, if he's going to take me all the way downtown and bring me all the way to this booth to tell me I don't get the job, man, I will be furious. He'll see a side of me that that I don't think he knows about yet. But it didn't happen that way. We went up to the booth, and we're looking over the ice, and he pretty much just asked me, how would you like to watch every game up here with me this year? And at that point, man, I just was on a cloud, and it just was an awesome experience and a moment that I know I'll never forget. And it was special right in that moment. And obviously in my journey in NHL, I always wanted to finish a Blue, or at least put on the Blues jersey. And like Chris was mentioning, talking about my injury and how my career got cut a little short, this is such great closure to that. And in some ways, this is more special than being a player. I just feel so honored to be alongside Chris and to be a part of this awesome organization. And it's going to be a fun ride.
Not bad. We pull in a St. Louis kid with some hockey knowledge, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody who's grown up in hockey in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a big part of this, and my roots being here, and just being familiar with the city, and having connections here, and just really being in love with the city. Obviously, not being a Blue, that was hard to take, but just understanding that this is my city, and I always wanted to be a Blue, and I'm so passionate about this team since I was born, from the very get-go, with my dad bringing me to games as kids, and this is just an awesome experience. It really hasn't hit me yet. I'm still pinching myself every day.
I know it's Cam Jansen and those guys really helped pave the way and showed a way to the National Hockey League, being from St. Louis, which was hard. I mean, there was a long stretch in there where it was very difficult for St. Louis youth hockey teams to even get into some of the tournaments, much less now. A lot of times youth hockey teams from St. Louis are winning these tournaments. What was it like growing up and playing for Afton and finding a path to the National Hockey League, which is not a common route taken by many at the time.
Absolutely. It's very different than it is today. I mean, today you look around the city of St. Louis and in youth hockey, there's so many great coaches and representatives of this game to help these kids along. And frankly, when I was a kid, my father was my coach, and my dad, he's in the construction business. And so you just saw a lot of that when you're a kid. I had our friends, we had our fathers, and they were our coaches. They were painters and plumbers, and they were coming off job sites and going straight to the rink just to get us going. And really, at that point, skill wasn't an issue. They didn't know anything about the game. So they taught us one thing, and it was just to bury our heads, dump the puck in, and just work hard. And that was kind of the foundation for my class growing up in St. Louis. And a lot of guys did awesome things, and it was really great to see.
We've got the team right here in the studio. We've got Chris Kerber, Joey Vitale, who's going to be the analyst on these Blues broadcasts. And you're an expert in one thing, and that is the new floor there at the Enterprise Center. Tell us about how you came to know about that floor.
Well, it was interesting. We were up in the press booth yesterday, or a couple of days ago, looking down on this floor, and I just mentioned to Chris, I said, it's a beautiful floor, and believe it or not, my family's business, we poured that floor, VJ Construction, and I was talking about the process of my dad helping me understand, what it's going to take, and the certain mix designs of pouring. It's very, very difficult to pour an ice sheet. Obviously, it has to be super flat, and without getting too technical, you can't use a lot of heavy machinery, so you got to put your best men on the job, and being a part of that pour and seeing that was a special thing. And then to be looking down on that floor just a couple years later with Chris looking down and accepting this job, it's just amazing how life can unfold sometimes.
Now, along those lines, were you actually trying to smooth out the concrete? What was your specific role that you did in that?
Oh, they put all the best guys on the smoothing. I was the dummy just shoveling concrete around trying to look busy.
All right, so listen, we wanted to surprise you with a couple of friends of yours and some couple people that know you well as we welcome you to the St. Louis Blues broadcast booth, and we want to pull in current Blues defenseman Robert Bortuzzo, who was a teammate of yours in the minor leagues with Pittsburgh and with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Robert, how's your summer going? How are you?
How's it going, guys? Summer's going well.
Awesome.
Can't beat it.
We can't wait to get you back into town, but we wanted to pull you on and let you know that we have hired a buddy of yours to work on the broadcast booth.
Oh man, congratulations, Joe.
Borty, can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see that tan.
What an addition, guys.
There's
nothing more I can say about this guy.
All right, you rode the bus with him in the minor leagues, and if you were going head to head in a poker game with him, do you think you got all his tells down?
Oh no, you can never get a read on this guy. You just knew he was always in a good mood, always a smile on his face. But we definitely had some good laughs over the years riding those buses, eh, Joe?
We did, buddy. Yeah, we were journeymen together. My first day out of college, I met Robert. We stayed in the team apartment in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. We had roaches and crickets in this old place, and I knew we could only go up from there.
No kidding.
What was your first thought when you walked in and you saw this big, lanky guy that's playing defenseman?
I was intimidated by him. I knew I didn't want to go against him in practice, and his whole career he's held true to that. And Robert, obviously, he's one of the most difficult guys to play against in the league. Excuse me, and he's made a whole career for himself from just being a pain in the butt. And credit to him. And it's very unusual because you talk to him off the ice, and I know him very well as a friend, and he's one of the nicest, good Italian paisans that are out there. And it's just to see him on the ice, he puts on that Superman coat, and he does his thing. It's great.
Hey, Robert.
You're too kind, buddy.
We have heard that Joey is a bread aficionado.
Yeah, he's the bread man. He dropped some bread off for the boys last year, and it was phenomenal. Jam, butter, everything. So, I mean, everyone's got to have a hobby. He was making that bread, him and his wife. And then I don't know. I think it was fiance at the time, but he would have me and a couple other rookies over for spaghetti, and Joe would make the bread, and that was 10 years ago now. So that's just kind of the guy Joe was. He's a rookie himself, and he's having 7 of the rookies over for dinner, having spaghetti, and yeah, we had some good times, and definitely, it's going to be good to get back together with you, big guy.
Well, I guess from now on, and I would expect nothing less, but every time Robert Bortuzzo has the puck and comes up the ice, it'll be like Bobby Orr going coast to coast. Right, Joey?
Yeah, something like that,
All right,
Chris.
perfect. Hey, Bortz, thank you so much for checking in with us today and being a part of this special moment for Joey. We appreciate it. Have a safe rest of your summer, safe trip in, and we'll see you here in a couple weeks.
Anytime, guys. Congrats, Joe.
Borsey, can't wait to see you. Tell all your folks and your family we said hello.
You too, buddy. Talk soon.
You got it.
All right, that's Blues defenseman Robert Bortuzzo.
Robert Bortuzzo, the good friend of the Blues' new announcer, Joey Vitale. He's in studio with us today, along with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, Michael Kelly, John Hancock in for Mark Reardon. We've got more Blues. This is news, Blues news we're making here, and that's coming up right around the corner right here on KMOX.
KMOX is the weather station. Get the forecast here every 10 minutes, mornings and afternoons, with weather bulletins at once on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
So
Listen to KMOX in your car, on your radio.com app at work. Stay connected.
Hey, it's Hancock and Kelly sitting in for Mark Reardon. We are joined by the new battery for the St. Louis Blues. We are the voice of the St. Louis Blues here at KMOX. We have Chris Kerber and his new partner, Joey Vitale, in.
You know what? And I think we might as well have bring in part of the old battery, too. Kelly Chase is joining us here on the broadcast. And Chaser, first off, once again, I can't thank you enough for what really was an amazing 18 years as a partner of yours. You showed me the way in the National Hockey League and just how to survive, frankly, to get to where we're at. So congratulations on an amazing run, buddy. And I know today is a day you're pretty excited about, aren't you?
Well, I am. I'm glad for Joe, and St. Louis has got one of their own. And it's a great job, it's a great experience. He's still involved in the game, and you guys are in good hands. And I know for him, me being a part of it with you, Curbs, Curbs does all the heavy lifting, so the kid's in good hands with you.
Is that why he looks so strong all the time?
That's right. We used to go into places and we'd be, he'd say, well, we got to do an interview with this guy. And I'd say, I didn't do that interview. He said, no, I did the interview. I just wanted to know if you wanted to bring it in and do the leadoff. Sure, Curbs, whatever you need. And then it would turn out we'd get to the game a little later and he'd have already done that part of it too. So all you got to really do is stick your head out the window and talk about the only thing you've done your whole life, and that's hockey.
Well, there is one part of me that is thrilled, and that is my upper forearm on my right side. So I tend to sit on the left and a lot of the boosts and chasers on the right. And whether he learned it from Brian Sutter or where he got, but every now and then when his excitement levels would get high, I'd get punched in the arm. So I can now take the padding out of my sleeve, my shirt now for this season, I hope.
Well, hopefully I'll give you more of a break. But hey, Kelly, it's great hearing from you. Thank you for the remarks and obviously such big shoes to fill that you kind of led the way. And that was the first thing I thought about when Chris called me about this job was I don't know how I'm going to replace you. And Chris pretty much told me right off the bat, he goes, Joe, it's impossible. Just there's no way you can ever replace him. Just be you, and you'll come close. So I'm looking forward to getting going on this journey. And thank you for laying the groundwork for me.
Well, listen, we spoke about this. I talked to Darren Pang. I talked to Curbs about it, and you're the right guy. And the reason for it is that you were a St. Louis kid. You got a great family, who I know is entrenched in St. Louis, and on top of it all, you played the game. You're just away from the game, and it was a tough way for you to leave the game too. So this gets you that attachment back into a life of hockey that you love. And I chuckle a little bit because I remember the days when I phoned your parents to try and get you to come to play junior hockey, and they said, no, Joe's going to run the concrete company. And you don't understand. I said, no, he could actually be a pro hockey player. No, he's fine. But thanks for offering. But anyways, Joe's going to go run a concrete company. And here you are now doing the exact same thing I was doing. I find it kind of humorous. And I'm grateful that it's you that's doing it because for the fans of St. Louis, they deserve somebody with passion that knows about the Blues and loves the Blues, and you're going to do great at it. You've got a lot of friends that are still playing the game, and that gives you a leg up on everybody else because you'll feel comfortable walking into dressing rooms. And the other thing is that you don't have any shoes you have to worry about filling. You'll probably make less mistakes than I made, and I'm sure at the end of the day be in less trouble.
Hey, I know, Chaser, once again, always helping out with the community. I know you're in a charity golf tournament today. Thanks for taking a couple minutes with us, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Honest to God, before I go,
yep.
I just hit on a par 3. I just hit a guy standing by the hole in 110 right in the head with a golf ball. I really
So basically,
I have to walk up and see if he's breathing right now.
Right. So basically, same old.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Yep.
Still up here fighting.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right, let's. That's Blues. Of course, my former partner, Blues broadcaster Kelly Chase, now going to take on a new role of the team. Got to bring in one more former Blue for you, if that's okay, Joey.
Absolutely.
We're going to check into a guy that you did a little bit of work with when you were with the Arizona Coyotes, and Tyson Nash is going to chime in. How's that sound?
That sounds really good, actually.
Tyson, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Hey, let me just say, I can't believe I missed Chaser. I'm going to miss absolutely tearing that guy to shreds when I show up there in St. Louis now. But I hope, Joey, congratulations, first of all, but I hope that we can still make fun of Chaser like old times for sure, because he's an easy big target.
I don't know. He's in my backyard. I think he'll find me. You're out in Arizona. It's an easy one for you. I'm staying away from that territory.
I love it. Congrats, big boy. I can't think of a better guy to fill that spot.
Thanks, Tice. I appreciate it, man. I'm really, really excited. Thank you so much.
Tyson, you got a chance to watch Joey for just over a year or so in Arizona. For the St. Louis fans that may not have followed his career much or that may not know him well, what can you tell the fans of yours here in St. Louis about our new radio broadcaster?
Well, obviously, you were unbelievable to me when I was on the other side, and again, now you're on that side. So welcome to the other side of the fence. It's this, first of all, is the best job in hockey. I don't tell many people that because I don't want a lot of people, ex-players in particular, sniffing around. But I can tell you from dealing with you in Arizona, the St. Louis Blues fans are in for a treat. I know there's a guy by the name of Shane Doan. You are a cardboard cutout of Shane Doan. Just how you come to the rink every day with a smile on your face. You have fun with what you're doing. Always positive. Always upbeat. And I think that's important in this business. I think that it can be a grind and it can be tiring on the road all the time. And sometimes when the team's struggling, you wear it too. I mean, we ultimately work for the team, and you wear the losses, and you celebrate the wins, almost like the players do to a certain degree. And I think you got the perfect demeanor for it, the passion for it, as Chaser mentioned, and obviously, you love St. Louis, you love the Blues. And I know the fans are going to love you.
Well, Tice, hey, I really, really appreciate the words. And, you got brought up a lot in this interview process. And I brought your name up a lot because a big question was, Joe, how are you going to conduct yourself? Obviously, a former player. And there's obviously a line to walk and be careful of. And I brought you up, and I just said my time with Tyson. I also mentioned Phil Bourque. To see those guys in their professionalism and you're a goofy, outgoing personality. You're a bit of chaos, but when I went to Arizona, you were just super professional and cordial and just polite to me. And you were one of those guys that's seen but not really heard. And you kind of I saw in that in your example what it is to be a professional in this new gig. And Chris and I talked a lot about that. So I want to thank you for being a mentor, even though I didn't realize at the time you were a mentor to me. So I do appreciate all your work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And again, it is the best job in the world. And coming to work every day and talking hockey, traveling around, that's the best part about it for me. I get to travel around. I live the life. I'm flying around on these private planes, staying in nice hotels, and I don't get beat up anymore. So how much better does it get, honestly?
And you get to keep your tan in Arizona.
Exactly. Although I'm starting to look like an old catcher's mitt right now. I better take it easy.
Tyson, you got a terrific fan base around here, man. Thanks for taking a couple minutes for us, buddy, and your help throughout this process. And can't wait to see you when we play the Coyotes this year. Good luck, my friend, and thanks a ton.
Oh, absolutely, and good luck to you both. I know you guys are going to kill it. You got an unreal fan base there in St. Louis, the best in the league, if you're asking me. So bring it to the people, as Tanger says.
You got it. Thanks, Tyson.
Tyson, thank you.
All right, see you, bye.
All right, we're going to come back and talk a little Blues hockey. Very excited for this club coming up this year. Made a lot of moves in the offseason. Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, with us, and Joey Vitale, the new analyst, right here for St. Louis on KMOX Radio. Michael Kelly and John Hancock will be back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking at
Get ready for the Cards and Nationals tonight. Ameren Total Access 620. First pitch 7:15. Hear it here on your voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. KMOX.
Hey, it's Hancock and Kelly sitting in for Mark Reardon. We're joined by Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, and the new analyst for the St. Louis Blues, Joey Vitale. But, hey, we're going to put you to work. You know, enough of this celebrating you getting a new job. But before we go there, I have an obligation as a St. Louisan. Where'd you go to high school?
That's a great question. I was part of the CBC cadets. I was there from 2000 to 2004.
And you had an opportunity to actually play in what was called the Scott Trade Center now. We all know it as the Enterprise Center. With CBC, and you won a state championship there.
That was
right?
That was my first experience on that ice sheet. And you ask any high school player who plays in the state championship, it's like the Stanley Cup. You know what I mean? You have your fans and your students in the crowd and their family and everyone's supporting you. So the privilege to play 4 years in a row on that sheet was a special thing.
How did you resist the urge to leave high school and not go the junior route then?
You know, honestly, I think it was just my family ties. I was very close with my mom and dad, and like Tyson was saying earlier, you know, Joe can't leave; he's got to pour concrete. That was just kind of the thing I did in the summer. So,
who is going to run that place now?
Yeah, I know. Well, my two older brothers are doing a phenomenal job, and my uncle are doing a great job there. But there was some pressure, and there were some opportunities to leave, and to be true to myself, I was just. I love my family, and I just wanted to be there and graduate a cadet, and then whatever would happen from there, I would just take that road.
Yeah, you got the family with you today. Your wife, Brianna, and then your three children, Summer, Harper, and Bodie, are here with you. They're watching Dad on the radio, and they're going to be listening to Dad on the radio all season. And this Blues team, I am excited about the moves we've made in the offseason. You know, I talked to Curbs right after the last season, and I thought, this team doesn't look like it's going to really compete. Well, they made some moves. Doug Armstrong made some moves. We got some new pieces to fit in this puzzle. How excited are you about this Blues club?
Oh, I'm over the moon about it. I think, this job is one thing, but then to come into this role with the team that we have coming in, I can't think of more of an exciting time. Doug did a phenomenal job this summer. Everyone knows it. I mean, bringing in guys like Bozak and O'Reilly. I mean, you talk about two of the best two-way centermen in this league, and to see them wearing the Blues jersey this year is a testament to how hard the Blues have worked in the offseason to get these guys, and I think everyone's ready to get going. I'm excited to see them on the ice. I think it's going to be a great year.
Did you go head-to-head on faceoffs against either one of them a couple times?
I did, and I will say O'Reilly was a little bit tougher, but Bozak was just as good, and again, such an important facet of this game is face-offs, and it's becoming more important these days. But two of some of the best face-off guys in the league, and again, just not fun guys to play against, and to have both of them on this team and joining guys like Shen and Tarasenko and these guys, it's going to be a great multi-dimensional group for sure.
And Schwartz, I mean, there's some real skill on this hockey club, and they're going to be tougher up the middle than they were last year, which is great. Patrick Maroon, another St. Louis product, coming home to play for the Blues.
Absolutely. Pat and I grew up together a little bit. He was a South County boy as I was. Roller hockey for the most part. But, you look at him, and he's a guy that I think all the St. Louis kids are just so proud of, because growing up, he had a big frame, slow feet, but he had great hands, and he was great around the net. But he never, ever imagined that he would go the junior or college, let alone the professional hockey league. But he got a wonderful opportunity in Anaheim, and credit to Pat, he made the very most of it. I'm so proud of him. I know everyone here is proud of him, and he has made a wonderful, wonderful career out of himself. He's got a great family behind him, and it's going to be a true treat for everyone in St. Louis. I know him and his family to be a part of this Blues organization.
It is kind of amazing when you think of a sport, okay, especially a contact sport where you can run into the other guy, albeit with reckless abandon. Yes, sometimes you do get penalized if the ref said you checked too hard, but you can't. And even with as solid of a size as you are, to see Pat Maroon stand next to you and to think, okay, you both played in the National Hockey League and run around banging each other. It's nuts. I mean, the size of somebody like him, and we put his body this year. Last season, the power play was just atrocious, and one of the reasons is that net front's presence. There just wasn't somebody that basically parked their big old rear end right in front of the goaltender and said, good luck seeing around me. That guy is now here.
Absolutely. You bring up a funny story. When I was in Pittsburgh, we were playing Anaheim, and Pat was in front of the net on the power play, and he scored 2 goals in the first period, and our defensive coach said to Paul Martin, Paul, you got to block this guy out. And Paul literally snapped on our coach, like, what are you talking about? I can't. You see how big this guy is? I mean, and Paul's a strong guy. I never forget that. And again, Pat is just a big, solid body, and you just cannot move. And that is such a crucial role in any hockey team, but especially the power play.
All right, the St. Louis Blues this year are going to be returning the entire defensive core as well. And this was a defensive core that I think a lot of people almost lose sight of this. And I'm going to throw Jake Allen in here on this. The St. Louis Blues gave up the 5th fewest number of goals against in the Western Conference last year. And most of the defensive matrix, and I'm not talking, high level, I'm talking just some real basic, hardcore, keys to be success. This team was top 10 in the league. When you put that with the revamped offense, how does it look to you?
Honestly, very, very dangerous. I mean, I put the Blues up this year against teams like Toronto. You look at their lineup, you think of teams like Pittsburgh. I mean, multi-dimensional teams, multiple threats. You look at their power play is going to be clicking now. Obviously, the penalty kill is going to get a lot better. And with Jake Allen in the back and the great coach of Mike Yeo, it honestly is going to be, I believe, one of the toughest teams to play against this year.
Yeah, with one of the things that has plagued this team for the last couple of years is third and fourth line scoring, and you just haven't seen enough of it, and that's likely to change. You're looking at a very special combination, Schwartz and Shen. Those two guys, I don't know what it is, but it's magic when those two are on the ice together. We're going to be deep on this team with 3 or 4 lines rotating.
Absolutely. I think that, I think a lot of teams, they really rely on that depth, especially when the January, February schedule starts coming around, the quote-unquote grind of the season. When you go to back-to-backs on the road, that's when you really, really depend on those third and fourth line guys. And now, with the new stars they're bringing in, you're going to have a lot younger guys filling the role, but also some of those top 2 line guys can actually filter down to the third line and play in a more comfortable setting and role where they know they can get back to their game. Some of these guys, be honest with you, and they tell it to you, they're not first-line centermen. They're not second-line wingers. They feel comfortable playing 10 minutes on the right wing because of their age and how their body's worn down on them. That's where they want to play, and that's where they will be really, really effective in those areas.
I'll never forget what Scott Mellenby told me when he was traded here to the St. Louis Blues. We traded him for David Morissette. Okay, who? Exactly. Wow. That's how great of a trade that was. Now, here's Scott Mellenby, and people thinking his career's done after this amazing run leading the Florida Panthers and slapping rats around the rink down there in Florida. And he came in, and the Blues end up playing him on a line with Pavel Demitra and Keith Tkachuk. And I believe Pavel that year crossed the 90-point plateau, 89, was right around there. He had a heck of a year. You talked to Mel, to Joey's point there, and Scott would tell you, he goes, that there is a difference in my game when I'm playing 15 minutes a game versus when I'm playing 17 minutes a game. That extra 2 minutes, that extra 4 shifts, and because you got to keep in mind, these guys go out on the ice. They don't just go out and say, hey, fellas, what's going on? It's like a dead sprint for 45 minutes and then come back and recoup. And that extra time does make a difference. Now, to Joey's point on the, and to yours too, John, on the second level scoring, at any given time a season ago, you had Tage Thompson, Sammy Blais, Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka, Alexander Steen, and a few other guys that I'm all of a sudden I'm going to blank on this point. No, well, Sanford ended up just missing the season because of that shoulder injury, but he was slated for the top 9. But you had those guys, Dmitry Yashkin, Kyle Brodziak, towards the end of the season after the Stastny trade. There's 7 players that were at any given time. 2 of them were in your top 6 because of injuries and what have you. 2. Only one of those guys, Alexander Steen now, or frankly, are you even sliding in your top 9 if this team is healthy? That kind of shows you the type of depth, that this hockey team is going to have.
What do we know about the new backup goalie?
Chad Johnson.
Chad and I were actually at camp in Pittsburgh. He got drafted, I believe, the year after me, and I remember him just being this very tall, lengthy guy. And again, a guy that not a lot of people gave a good opportunity to or thought would be really effective in this league. And he's bounced around quite a bit. He's very seasoned. He's been from the east to the west. And he's a guy that I think is going to be a great, great partner for Jake. Jake can go in, step in. He can feel comfortable being that number 1 role. And Chad's going to come in, and he's going to steal some games. And he's going to give Jake confidence where on Jake's nights off, he can actually get a break.
Yeah, and Chad Johnson, about 2 seasons ago, had an amazing year, with the Buffalo Sabres. So he's shown that he can put up good numbers when filling in that role.
Before we let you go, do we have any update on Robbie Fabry and how how those wheels are coming along?
Robbie Fabry, I know, has been skating and going to getting back into it. All the reports so far are good. The truth be told, I think he's the great wild card coming into camp, and I can't wait to see how he's going to go because, Joey, if Robbie Fabry is healthy and hits a level of play, even close to what we saw from a guy that got 15 points in 20 games of the playoffs. Of course, it's been a year and a half now since he's been on the ice. That's a wild card that all of a sudden might take this team from good to really good because that's going to knock that depth down one more.
Wild card, Rabbi. I agree completely with that. It's a fast man's game right now, and Robbie he fits that role. He can come into this league and be so effective, and a lot of it's just timing. 5 years ago, if he would have broken this league, or 10 years ago, I think he would have played his whole career in the minors. Maybe not even that. And so the timing of him being in this league and finding a role with the St. Louis Blues, it's going to be important for him. I know he's chomping at the bit to get back, and everyone's excited. And as long as he does it the right way, the timing's right, which obviously the Blues organization is not going to rush it, I think he could be really, really a big factor for the Blues this year.
Well, we've seen some great golf in town. We are now seeing some great baseball in town. And just around the corner, we're going to see some great hockey in this town. Joey Vitale, that voice you heard, is the new analyst for the St. Louis Blues. Joey, welcome aboard. Glad to have a St. Louis and sitting in that seat.
John, Mike, it's been a pleasure. Obviously, listening to you guys a bunch on the radio. It's a pleasure to sit here and to sit next to my new partner, Chris. And I'm excited to get started and for the opportunity.
Thank you, Curbs.
I've got a quick tidbit, guys. I'm going to extend this just a second. We were walking over from this Enterprise Center, and I was walking with Summer, the 7-year-old, his oldest daughter there. And we were talking about her dad being on the radio, and she says, "Does my dad have to travel?" I said, "Yeah, well, he's going to travel." She goes, "I'm going to miss him." So that's the family that we've got. And awesome. I said, you know what? You're going to love, though, when you get to see him work at Enterprise Center. So this will be a lot of fun.
That's right. And I did buy boom boxes for all my kids, though. So when they're falling asleep at night on weeknights, they'll be able to listen to me.
Summer's working on a big lollipop back there.
That's
right. You keep going, kid. Hey, Michael Kelly and John Hancock, we'll be back right around the corner. Talk a little Cardinal baseball when we come back right here on KMOX.
St. Louis.